guys, welcome back to SaharaTV. Once again, my name is Adeola Fayehun. We've been discussing the situation of things in Nigeria with two wonderful men that have been in the studio with me, Comrade Seyi, as well as Dr. Malcolm. But right now, we want to hear from you guys. We want to know what you think, not just what you think, some possible solutions about the situation of things in Nigeria. So we have some Skype callers on that will be talking with me today about these issues, such as the Baga killing, as well as the fact that the Nigerian government wants to start monitoring your computer and your communications, and also the fact that they are trying to borrow $9 billion in the name of developing infrastructure facilities in Nigeria. So let me see the people that we have on Skype call today. I think I have Alabi, as well as Amzat, Shola, Moses, and Enua. Welcome to SaharaTV.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so just so you guys know, I have two wonderful men in the studio with me today. They will also be answering some of your questions as well. So if you have any questions for them, in case you've been following what we've been talking about earlier, what the three of us have been discussing. So if you have any questions for them as well, feel free to chip that in. So I want to start with Alabi. I just want to hear your view about the people that were killed recently in Baga and the way the government has responded or failed to respond, so to say. So I just want to know your view.
It's so sad, yeah. When you hear people who are being killed, like, you know, Nigeria. I wouldn't want to say this, but it's just a sad aspect. We don't value lives. We don't value lives. In the UK here, if a dog is sick, you have hospitals for dogs. Yeah, they value even animals more than any other thing here. You can't just go and kick anybody's dog here, you go into jail. But why is it that all the time in Nigeria we hear that mass killing, mass shootings, gunmen on, we even heard Boko Haram is their ghost, that so they shouldn't negotiate with Boko Haram because they are ghost people and they want to grant amnesty to ghosts. This is so sad. And anytime this is happening, we hear, what we're gonna hear is that Jonathan has set up a committee. The committee that we're just gonna know the beginning. We're not gonna know how it ended. This is so sad. They should make something.
Alabi, before you go, I wanted you to give. I mean, you just said the way they respond. What is it that they were supposed to do? You know, how should they have responded?
I've left Nigeria for a very long time now, yeah. But I know in the civilized in a civilized society, when something of such happens, there has to be a reason for that. Mass killing is not. If the soldiers are having clashes with people, at least there's a proper way of fishing out people who are responsible, not just going to a community or wiping the whole city. It's not something to welcome about. It's so sad.
Thank you, Alabi. I'm sure you guys are hearing him well. I mean, you also talked about the fact that soldiers are different from policemen when it comes to responding to issues like this. But I'm just wondering what you have to say about the fact that he just compared the lives of Nigerians to how they treat dogs.
Yeah,
in the UK.
Yeah, it's even right. You know, I've seen dogs on the streets of Manhattan, and I wonder how that if they take these dogs to back home, what will happen? We don't value lives because there's a disconnect between the leadership and those that are being led. You know, if you know, let's say that's a convoy of family of the minister or the president that is going and Boko Haram or whatever group shoots at them, obviously the response will be different to what we have. You know, the coordination, all the chief of staffs, all of them be running a tasketa to make sure. But because you know there's a real disconnect.
You know, just to back what you're saying, Alabi, I don't know if you know, I've seen some like animal hospitals here.
Yeah.
That have better facilities than human hospitals that we have in Nigeria. Can you hear me?
Produce nation.
Alabi, can you hear me? All right, maybe we lost him, but but that's just to back up what he's saying about comparing dogs, the lives of dogs and animals.
But let's also think about something. So let's build on what Alabi said.
Okay.
The reason why that was not always the case. There was a time when dogs in the developed world, like other animals, had no respect. I'm sure you know of an organization, I forget what the acronym is, but it's actually an organization devoted to care for animals. What has happened globally in the last few years in the developed world is that people have advocated for rights.
Huh.
Rights that everybody has, for those rights to be extended to animals.
As well.
There was a time when you could travel and actually go to school in places in the developed world, and there were no car spaces for the handicapped or the disabled. There was no recognition of them in society. It took a push. It took people advocating before it happened. So it is not that there's an automatic respect for animals in the developed world. It's because if you look on the books, there are laws. So the question is, in Nigeria, do we have laws that indicate that if people get killed or if lives are lost through an extrajudicial process, that the government or the agencies of the state are mandated to actually get to the root of what happened? Do we have something that protects the rights of individuals? Do we have something that says every Nigerian whose life is lost, that there is actually a process by which an accounting of those lives must be done? But we don't.
But you also recall that this is what started this Boko Haram mayhem, when their leader was caught by the army, handed over to the Nigerian police, and the next thing, a man that we saw that had no gunshot on him was killed. And nobody wants to tell us why he died.
I see.
Yeah. So the bottom line for me is, we can theorize all we want about how there's no value for life in Nigeria. The only way things are going to change is if we, the Nigerian people, demand that there must be value for our lives.
Alabi, can you still hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Okay, so I'm sure that you probably had what guests in the studio have said about your statement, but I want to go quickly to Amzat. Amzat, how are you today?
I'm very fine.
Okay, so we're still talking about the killing in Bagai, and I'm just wondering, were you upset? Are you outraged to hear that more than 200 people were killed in one day in your country and nothing has been done so far?
Thank you so much. I am more than being upset about the unfortunate situation that happened in my country. First and foremost, I would not want to say much about this issue because in every situation like this, when soldiers are being asked to perform a civil right, we should be expecting a situation of such. First, we have to give thanks to the media outlet in Nigeria that has given a helping hand to the Nigerians, because for a very long time things of such have been happening, but at least we are improving gradually. I can remember some years back where Boko Haram killed a lot of NYSC members and nothing ever happened. Imagine. National Youth Service.
You said that we are improving, right?
Of course, I have to commend the
media.
The media. Okay, the media. Okay.
I have to tell you, especially Sahara Reporter, I give a lot of respect to you. It wasn't like this when I was in Nigeria, but as time goes on, when I've been in Malaysia for quite a time now, and I can see updates from every corner of the media.
Okay, so Amzat, what should people do, not just the media? I mean, Dr. Malcolm was just saying that we need to put our outreach out there on the street. As a Nigerian, I mean, I know you are not in Nigeria right now, right? What is it that people in Nigeria are supposed to do, or people that are outside Nigeria? What can we do when something like this happens? Because it's still happening, you know?
Yeah, thank you so much. We have to hold the president responsible for everything that has been happening so far. Because when soldiers are being put on the streets, the first thing that will be set up is the rule of engagement. And when we talk about the rule of engagement, it is a global rule. Only in the country you have to mend it based on the criteria of crisis you have. The first thing when you have rule of engagement is the soldier will request permission to fire from his platoon sergeant, provided they have a situation at hand. And the platoon sergeant will further his question. He will request from the platoon leader that we have a situation at hand. What order should I be given? I think there are a lot of people that have to be asked, and the last person to be asked is the president to approve the operation return fire if it is necessary to do so.
Okay, so
for the soldier of the JTF to have killed a large number of people that has been killed, I believe the figures have been manipulated. It has been subdued.
Oh yeah, it was subdued. The government said it's only 30 people, and this morning we learned that it's about 228 people. But Amzat, just to build on what you just said, Moses, I'm sure that you can hear this conversation, right?
Yeah.
I'm wondering though, hold on, Moses, I'm wondering if what Amzat said is possible. Nigerian soldiers are already used to killing. I mean, he's saying that they need to, first of all, go and get permission to fire. Do you think this is possible in the today Nigeria that we have? Do you think that's possible, that we will go to the era of asking permission before you fire and stuff like that?
All right, thank you, Adeola. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, you see, I think all Nigerians, including the media and those in the civil society organizations, should, be well informed to the extent of not reacting to issues just the way they are being reported, and then not getting to the root of the matter before making our own position on such issues known globally. So we are not doing ourselves any good. We are not doing the nation any good. We are doing nobody any good. You see, concerning these burger killings, I don't like this idea of blaming the soldiers, blaming everyone. In as much as extrajudicial killing is, nobody in his own sane mind will support extrajudicial killing anyway. But we should also be saying this in the context of the fact that Boko Haram has been terrorizing people for many years, killing innocent Nigerians. A lot of innocent Nigerians have been killed, most of them unreported. I am from the north central part of the country, Nasarawa State specifically. And nobody will say that it is a good sight to see people being killed. But the question we need to ask is this: did the soldiers just carry their guns and just invaded a village and then started shooting them sporadically for no just reason? It was a gun duel, based on what I read. It was a gun duel between Boko Haram and then the soldiers. Do you expect the soldiers to fold their arms and watch themselves being killed by Boko Haram?
Okay.
And mind you, you should note that this happened at a time that the president of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan, went against public opinion to set up a committee to grant amnesty to Boko Haram. We expect they should have accepted the amnesty and then lay down their arms, or they should stop killing innocent people.
Okay, so Moses, I'm trying to find out exactly what you're saying. I'm thinking you are not saying that the killing can be justified just because it was Boko Haram that started it.
What I'm saying, in essence, is that all our reactions are based on information that may not be factual. We need to know the actual thing that happened.
Okay, the actual thing that happened that we all know is that Boko Haram started it first. They said, now we have amnesty, so there's nothing you can do to us. They fired at the soldiers.
Exactly.
So now, is that an excuse for them to go and reinforce themselves with soldiers from Niger, from Chad? This is well organized, well pulled together. We're talking about massacre. This is massacre when more than 200 people are killed. Are you saying that the fact that Boko Haram started it first gave them the goal to, to kill this many people in a civilized society? Is that how they're supposed to handle it?
Adeola, nobody can support such kind of killings. In the UK here, where I live, I know how people value lives here. And then I know how, I know a lot about what we should do to preserve the sanctity of life. We know that is not done in Nigeria right now, and nobody can say such killings were justifiable. But what I am saying, in essence, that most of our reactions are based on information that are not factual. And mind you, just, I think, last 2 weeks, an army major was killed by this same insurgent in the same area. And that's just one case. And even this week, as one has been reading on the media, a lot of soldiers have been killed. Do you expect them to fold their arms? I'm pretty sure the civilians, some of the civilians that fell victim of this were victims of what one can call maybe collateral damage as a result of the soldiers trying to defend themselves and then defend the innocent civilians around. Because, of course, when there's a gun duel between Boko Haram and then the soldier. You expect some civilians naturally to fall victims to that.
All right.
So I
Thank
don't
you.
think it was a deliberate act from the soldiers, because we've had, issues like this, like the Zaki Biam massacre and then the Odi massacre. You remember, is it the Odi people that took a government to court recently, and then they were awarded some, I think, over 20 billion naira or so as compensation. So
All right.
nobody.
Thank you, Moses. I
All
just
right,
want to
thank
hear what Malcolm has to say about this, and I'm sure you guys have something to say along the line of what Moses said. But first of all, I want to hear what my guests have to say about this.
I think the discussion has been very interesting. It is true that we probably don't have all the details. But I think there are certain principles that, regardless of what the details are, there are certain principles that I think we can establish. And I think Amzat made an extremely important point when he said, when you have any action that involves the military in a role where they are either you're making them do law enforcement or pacification, there are rules of engagement. You asked a question, you said, do we actually think Nigerian soldiers can
Go back
go
to that.
back? The answer is yes. So if you look at the UN peacekeeping, Nigerian soldiers are valued in the global peacekeeping community. There has been no peacekeeping action. If you go back to Congo in the 60s, when Lumumba and the whole Kasavubu problem erupted, Nigerian soldiers have served with distinction in every peacekeeping action from the Congo to Lebanon to Liberia to Sierra Leone. So why is it that in those places they can follow the rules of engagement? Why is it that in those places Nigerian soldiers serving under even foreign generals, under structures that, that they don't have any actual reporting relationship to, but which they now have reporting relationships with in the context of peacekeeping, Nigerian soldiers can do that.
But even when they serve under Nigerians, if it's Nigerians are on the high command,
regardless of, I agree. So regardless of who is in authority, the Nigerian soldier, we may argue about the specifics of this case. The bottom line is there is only one commander-in-chief in a country. Look at what the US is going through. It doesn't matter what the soldiers in Iraq or Afghanistan do. Ultimately, the buck stops at the desk of the president of the United States.
The soldiers we're even discussing today, they're even victims. They are victims of what is happening. Number one, they are fighting faceless people. You can remember what happened to the Americans during the Vietcong thing. Fighting faceless people, you are like shooting in the shadows. So you expect...
So it's a defense mechanism to just...
So I think the bottom line is, up until now, I have no idea what the strategy is that we're engaged in as a country for engaging with Boko Haram. So if you remember, under Obasanjo's regime, there were, at the time, skirmishes in Plateau State.
Yes.
Skirmishes. There was a state of emergency in Plateau State under Darie. When for political, that was the beginning of the crisis between, the issues between the Hausa communities and the indigenous communities there. That called for a state of emergency. So what are we doing in the northeast part of the country? Is there a state of emergency? Because if there's a state of emergency, then we can understand why we have such a heavy military presence. We can understand why there are all these coordinated military actions. We'll be able to understand why there is...
Please hold on, please.
We will understand why there are 3 separate armies from 3 different countries engaged in action in that area. So what's going on? I have absolutely no idea. It is not clear to us, to me at least, what the strategy of the Nigerian government is. But if the military is involved, there should be rules of engagement. So what were those rules?
Exactly. So, Inoa, can you hear me? Inoa?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, please go ahead.
Yes, I can hear you. Since I am from the north, last year in the northern area, we have been traumatized by this conflict. There is the need for the federal government to do everything. It's empowered by the laws of justice to get amnesty for these people. We are tired. We have been traumatized. A lot of people have been killed with no reason. Because we don't want a situation whereby the thing should be taken to the United Nations. We don't want the situation where our issue to be resolved internally. The major problem with Nigeria is injustice. Injustice is the beginning of this thing. Back to 2008, by the time of Muhammad Yusuf. the federal government should have done something since before the thing had gone very much to the extent that a lot of massacre, like more than 200 innocent souls have been killed. This is a very dirty value. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Thank you
This is
for
a
saying
very
that. And
okay.
sorry, but Shola, I'm sure that you can hear this conversation. And my question to you is, I just talked about granting them amnesty and, that they're tired and stuff like that. The government actually did offer them amnesty. They said they are ready to accept amnesty. And then this happened after they said they are ready to accept amnesty. I'm just wondering your view about the whole amnesty thing altogether.
Well, if I may start, I will say that the issue of amnesty is a welcome idea, one, but it's so funny that the same government who is offering amnesty is the same one thwarting the process as we speak. Now, if you remember, the president was in Borno State I think, couple of weeks ago, and he made a statement that nobody gave attention to. He said he was not going to accept the killing of a single soldier any longer. He did say so. And so it's so funny when you tell me that the commander-in-chief or whatever he calls himself is not aware of what happened in Baga or whatever it's called. I sympathize greatly with the people in the north. In fact, not just sympathize, empathize, because like Malcolm said, the death of a single Nigeria is one too much and unacceptable as a matter of fact. Just about a week or so ago, here in America, we all watched what happened at the Boston and whatever. A policeman was killed that morning. And that was not enough reason for the military to go in and kill everybody in that area. As a matter of fact, there are rules of engagement. Nigerian military, the world over, have been given praises and what have you for their actions outside. Why should they perform differently in Nigeria? So for me, the government is offering amnesty and at the same time thwarting that process by allowing what happened in Baga to happen. Now, this is some other question that bothers me. If you move from, I have not been in Nigeria for some time now, but I have a friend who went to Kaduna recently from Lagos, and she told me that as soon as you move from, you get into Abuja, she went to Kaduna, from Abuja to Kaduna, there are police, there are JTF and what have you, all of them on the road. The question is, how do these people come in and go out without this JTF knowing? That's one critical question we should begin to ask.
And the bombing, the Boston bombing that you just raised, I'm not sure if everybody knows, but they had more than 10,000 soldiers and police and everybody out looking for the bombers. And they did not kill any civilian. They did not kill more than 10,000 soldiers.
Nigerian soldiers can do exactly the same thing outside.
Yeah, you see.
So I think the president is trying to thwart the same process he has started. That one I know. And then too, I'd like to comment on the $40 million or whatever it is, and
we're still going to go into also, that. But go ahead. Okay.
So for me, I think the Baga killing is just an attempt to thwart the amnesty and whatever. The president is not serious about amnesty. Why I say amnesty is okay is because, for instance, in Yoruba land, if you cannot beat a person, of course, that is obvious. The Nigerian soldier cannot defeat Boko Haram. So if you cannot beat a person, the best thing for you to do is to beg them. And Boko Haram came out and said, look, it is us who should give you a amnesty.
Exactly, that's what I want to say.
So it is clear that the Nigerian government cannot deal with Boko Haram. And anybody who says amnesty is wrong, I think Boko Haram said no. Because you can't kill people, they keep killing people. Why won't you beg them to stop killing people? Anything you would do to stop the killing of people in the north should be done. But I think the president is not interested.
Yes.
Thank
you very much.
Thank you so much, Shola. I think it's really funny. They said they will give them amnesty. And the Boko Haram said, we are the one that should give you amnesty. Which is true because they're the ones killing people, right? So now it became an issue of, I beg, take amnesty now. Shola, can you hear me? Now it became an issue of, I beg, take this amnesty thing. Now they had to go and be talking to them, which is such a shame.
As the guy from Comrade said, we are still not going back. We have to go back to the root of this problem, which is one of the the requirements Boko Haram have asked for, that they want to know what happened to their leader. Until we get back to that, let me tell you something. Because I will not, if I'm in their position, I will not lay down my arms.
Okay,
when I know that
agree
something
with
else can
what
happen
you said,
to me.
but at the same time, what about the families of the thousands of people that have been lost. And you know, I quickly wanted to go to Amzat actually about that. Like if I mean, I want us to go into him paying 40 million to monitor our computers, but just quickly, Amzat, this whole amnesty thing, the fact that thousands of families now have, in some cases, they wiped out a whole family. Even if they give them this amnesty and they accept it, wouldn't there be a repercussion sometime in the future or later? Would there ever be peace, so to say, between those that have been hurt by all these killings and Boko Haram, even if they talk about what happened to their leaders and all? Would there now be peace in Nigeria? And Amzat, I just want you to go quickly.
Yeah, thank you very much. Really, the issue of amnesty to Boko Haram, a couple of weeks ago, I was here on SaharaTV and I gave my heavy weight to the support of the amnesty. But sincerely, if there has to be an amnesty for whoever calls himself a terrorist or otherwise, I think for the sake of the killings of Nigerians, we have to adopt it, since it is so glaring that the government is highly incapability to handle the situation. But let's go back to history. There is no country in the world, a developed country, so to say, that attain the highest level they are now, that they don't have challenges during their struggle time. We have to assume that the issue of Boko Haram is a big challenge to Nigeria, not only to the north, to the whole Nigerians. I will once again appreciate if the government would sincerely approve the amnesty. And when there are amnesty like that, there is only one thing you have to follow. You have to be truthful. When there are policy and law that if you do this and do this, there are things that will be done to you. And if government should be strict to their laws and policies, whoever that want to come again because I think giving amnesty to Boko Haram, I foresee another group to surface maybe in the nearest future, because we have seen that every time you carry, the only time you can be recognized in Nigeria is when you raise up your hand and kill other Nigerians. That is the only time.
Thank you very much, Amzat. I appreciate that input, but it looks like you wanted to say something quickly.
Yeah, but basically what I want to say is that I don't see any end to it as long as there's poverty in the land, as long as people are hungry, as long as people leave schools, they don't have jobs. I mean, these are the main things. No matter what we say, even if they bring Israelis, CIA, FBI to come and police our internal territories, nothing will happen. Because we are chunking out, an average family has 4 children. Look how many millions we have. You know, I was telling Malcolm yesterday that when I was going to Benin by road the other time, I just took a statistics of the guys that are selling hawking things. And before you knew it, I was counting like 300. And I looked at the age range of these guys. They're talking about 8 to 30. The guys from 30, when they're approaching 35, they can't run like the guys in their 20s. What would those guys do? And we have hundreds of them all over. The next thing, so
no one ever even think about that. But I want us to go into the fact that the government now wants to start monitoring what we do on our computers. And I'm just curious. I want to start out with Alabi. Are you afraid of what the government can find out on your computer?
I think the issue on the ground, there are better things to...
Thank you.
Where is Alabi? He's in London. He's safe in London.
Alabi, where are you?
Where are you?
Where are you, Alabi?
I'm in Birmingham in the UK.
You are safe. Nothing will happen to you. It's we that we are. They can't
no, don't worry. I think Nigeria has better problems to attend to than wasting money on something that's irrelevant.
I see.
You know,
I hear you. Go ahead.
I mentioned this earlier. It doesn't matter what. Look.
If you can call
even China.
Hold on, Alabi. Hold on, Alabi. Hold on.
Even China attempts to censor the access of its people to the internet. There's only so much that the government can do.
Some governments did it though, because I heard there was a time in Ethiopia that you can use Skype call or things like that.
It will not happen in Nigeria.
Nigeria, we are huge.
It will not.
The population is huge.
I can assure you that it will not. So they can waste another 40 million.
But if...
Right? And I can assure you that out of that 40 million, maybe it is 2 million that's going to be used on the contract. It's kickbacks. They are not serious. The internet is beyond the ability of any government to censor.
Okay.
They can monitor who is doing what, but it is not going to fundamentally change the fact that Nigerians now have access to information that is beyond the ability of the government to censor, period. That's what they're afraid of.
And Enua, do you think the government will be successful in censoring? Where are you calling from, Enua? Kano, okay.
I'm calling from Kano. The government will not succeed in this. If I was the government, I will advise the head of the government to monitor the level of the corruption in his government. Not monitoring other people. He should investigate the level of the corruption in his government. That will be better for him. What they're saying, you will raise $40 million or $400 million, that will not solve anything. It will even worsen things, because Nigeria will specialize in wasting billions of money.
I see. Moses, what do you think they are looking for on our computers?
I think in as much as considering the kind of situations we are facing in the country now, one can be quick to say that it is a misplacement of priority. It doesn't necessarily mean that it is something that shouldn't be done. I want to believe that that is what nations all over the world do to protect their citizens. Even over there in the US where you are, you can't be sure that the FBI is not monitoring what you are doing. So how do you think the FBI gets their intelligence? So and even recently you had cases of cyber attacks on Israel, on US, even the Americans, I mean, the US government was saying that there was cyber attack trying to kind of, and then get the intelligence information and stuff like that. So I want to believe the $40 billion is not just to monitor people's emails and stuff. I think it is, they want to use it for a comprehensive security network, which may involve that. And I think the issue of Boko Haram must have informed this.
Moses, I agree with what you're saying. It is necessary in the developing world, but is that what we're supposed to be doing right now? What about basic amenities first? Can't we have stable electricity?
He actually said it that is misplaced priorities.
It's a misplacement of priority for now, but it doesn't mean that it's something that shouldn't be done. Look, we are the ones complaining about everything concerning Nigeria. We'll say there are no this, there are no that, there are. You have such kind of things. I can assure you that you have such kind of things in US now. But they didn't start today. They started. You've got to start at some point. You've got to start in as much as I'm not in support of $40 million being spent on this at this critical moment. I'm not in support of not doing such a thing at all. Considering the kind of new security threats Nigeria is facing now, Boko Haram and Saru and the rest of them, we need to know who are the sponsors of these guys. And you cannot know that without such kind of...
Okay, I hear you. Just hold on 1 minute. Say what you want to say before I say what I want to say.
Okay, so...
Thank you, Moses. Thank you for the point you brought up, by the way. Malcolm is trying to say something about the point that you brought up.
In terms of the sponsors of Boko Haram, we know who they are. Let's not fool ourselves that we don't know. There are members of the parliament, members of the ruling party that have been indicted, that there are facts that point to the nexus between the ruling party and the genesis of Boko Haram. We know senators that are on record as being people that have facilitated Boko Haram. We know governors, some of whom are currently serving in the Senate, that are at the genesis of how Boko Haram emerged. So let's not fool ourselves into thinking the Nigerian intelligence forces don't know who these guys are. The fact that we're not following up on intelligence we already have simply tells you that any other thing that we're doing in the name of gathering more intelligence is superficial.
Moses, do you know what I'm really thinking about right now is the fact that if they're doing all this in the name of fishing out Boko Haram, is this what we really need to do? I know you said this is important, but do you think now that they spend this 40 million, suddenly they will say, oh, now we found who the members of Boko Haram are. Now we can solve all Nigeria's problem after spending this 40 million. Do you think that in the next few months or something, they will now say, oh, because we started monitoring your computers, this is how we are making your lives better? Moses.
Hello, I think I can come.
Okay, I think we lost him, but maybe someone else can take up that question. Shola, what do you think?
spending that much and trying to fish out who the sponsors of Boko Haram sponsors are. It's so funny because at the same time you are trying to militarize an OPC. You have militarized what do you call them in the Niger Delta already. So
Man.
I mean, the idea of what, and I'm so glad that this government is so corrupt to the extent that they can't pay $40 million. What they will squander the same money, and so the Israeli whatever will not be paid to be able to do it. So it's a waste of time. The idea is just to chill speech, which is just the essence of what they're trying to do.
And
they want to chill speech. They want to control the way we communicate on the internet in order to have a smooth sail for 2015. Well, it's so interesting that they're sailing already.
Well, you know, one other thing that bothers me with this whole 40 million to monitor our computer is, if we're giving this to Israel to monitor, who is monitoring Israel's own computers? And Moses said that they do this in America. Who do you think is monitoring the computers of Americans? Do you think America went and paid people they went and paid people in Uganda to monitor their own computers? Why can't we monitor our own computers? What will it take?
Nigerians who can do this. And as a matter of fact, I can very much assure you that the moment they get it done, Nigerians will hack it. Nigerians will
Yahoo boys.
It's a question of time. So,
okay, so briefly, Mr. Seyi and Mr. Malcolm, I'm just wondering, why can't we take on projects like that? What will it take? When will we get to the point where we are now an intelligence?
It's a complex. It's a complex leadership complex, because we have Nigerians that are consultants, security consultants, even here in America. So when you're talking about having equipment and monitoring and installation, there's nothing that Nigerians cannot do.
I think it's part of the problem. It's not just a complex, right? If you want to steal money, it is better and easier for you to do that by engaging people that have no ties to the country that you are from. Nigerian politicians will prefer to go and find foreign partners to partner with than Nigerian organizations that can do the same things. Are there Nigerians that can actually provide those same services that this Israeli company might provide? I believe the answer to that question is yes. They may not have companies in Nigeria, but I can assure you that there's no single information security company in this world
where Nigerians
are not there and are critical to how those companies perform. There is none. So can Nigerians do this? The answer is yes. If you were a politician who wanted to steal money, or if you were a politician who didn't have good intentions, will you bring in a Nigerian who is coming into the country because he wants to effect change? Will you bring them in to do that? The answer is no. Right. So it doesn't shock me that every time there's an opportunity to find Nigerians to do things, these guys will go out and find other people outside of the shores of the country to do it, because those are the people you can cut deals with.
Go ahead.
I really don't think, that maybe it's to, yes, there'll always be kickbacks here and there, percentage and there, But what I really feel is that, because when you talk of $40 million, to Nigerians now is nothing.
It is.
No, to Nigerian governments, to the way they spend money, it is nothing. So this 40 million, because when I look at it, I'll just say, what is 40 million to what they are looting already? It's nothing.
See, instead of them to do whatever we need to do in our education sector to get us to the point where we develop our science, we develop our, everything to the point that we are now consultants for other countries. Like we should be the Israel of Africa. You get what I'm saying? Like instead of us taking our issues to Israel for them to monitor our computers, how come other countries in Africa are not coming to Nigeria and saying, you guys help us to develop our communication skills, you help us to monitor our system? Because by now, Nigeria should have been that so-called giant that we call ourselves, and it's very sad that we think we are doing something big by contracting this to another country. So briefly though, I want you guys to talk about the fact that now they say they suddenly want to develop infrastructure in Nigeria. Do I still have anyone on Skype?
Yes.
Hello?
All right,
Hello?
so they said they want to develop infrastructures in Nigeria, and they want to borrow $9 billion to do this development. And Labi, I want you to start out. What's your take on this?
Yeah, instead of contracting it out to Israel, there are a lot of graduates looking for jobs. Why don't you just set out an empowerment program where you can just...
Or just employ the Yahoo boys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or train them.
I was thinking of that.
I think the skills you need are
Yeah.
different.
Okay, so they said they want to develop infrastructures in Nigeria. All of a sudden, they want to develop infrastructure. Then to do this, they want to borrow $9 billion between now and 2014. So what's your take on this, Alabi?
It's just an sophisticated way of stealing money. It's just fraud. At the end of the day, the result of everything, you're not gonna see it. You're just gonna know when it started. The end result is not gonna be seen.
Seriously, Amzat, is that true? Are you saying that you may not see the whole roads in Nigeria completely done by 2014? Like, is it true that, is that possible at all, by that even after borrowing this 9 billion, we may not have the best hospitals in Nigeria by 2014?
Yeah, very, very true. And sincerely speaking, it will be my pleasure to know those who give the president those advices. Because I am very, very sure the president we have today cannot even think on his own of borrowing money. Because I remember some years ago, they said by 2010 we have stable electricity, we have this, we have that, they borrow money. Even if all the monies of the world, if all the monies of the world is gathered and packed together and give to the Nigerian government, they will not do anything. And sincerely, it is very unfortunate that we are having this kind of government, because the first and foremost for development in every country of the world is electricity. Here you have electricity, every other thing will almost go right.
Moses,
so
do you agree?
What will happen when you have computer base, when you have everything, and you cannot provide electricity to supply those things? I'm very sure I have not heard the news that the UTME they did today, the computer base, there will be a situation of electricity. It is coming tomorrow. Let's wait and see.
Okay.
So,
thank you, Amzat. Moses, do you agree with what Amzat said, that despite the fact that they say they want to develop infrastructure, this may not be the case? Okay, I think Moses is gone. Enoa, can you say anything about this? Enoa. Okay, I think we lost Enoa as well. Shola, can you say anything about this?
It's all about 2015. How much went into 2011 election? That's number one. So they are planning for 2015. Then two, I read somewhere, but I'm not sure. Maybe this was even in my dream, that they are trying to bring back. Is it 5 naira, 10 naira, 20 naira?
Oh no!
Initially, in trying to make 5,000, they had made that money already. They thought it would sell through. So it's part of to get money for 2015. So there is no development they are doing anywhere. It's all about making money for 2015. So
Shola, ye of little faith. You don't believe the government is really going to develop Nigeria?
It's like when you say, how do I put it now? It's like when you say the devil is going to repent. The devil, judgment has been passed on the devil already. It's just for the whatever to be executed. So these guys, they are inherently corrupt. They are inherently wicked. They want to be in power by all means. You read recently, they say if Jonathan did not become president in 2015, Nigeria would disintegrate because the Niger Delta boys will go back. So how can you tell me they want to develop? What are they developing?
Thank you so much, everybody, for your contributions. Unfortunately, I have to round up. There's someone there that on the Skype screen that I've not said anything in a long time. I just want to hear your last. It's not Amzat, it's not Shola, it's not Moses, it's not Enoa. Is it? Are you Alabi? Is that you?
Yes, please.
No, it's not Alabi actually. The guy, you have your hand on your chin right now, and I'm sure you're listening. Can you say something? Okay, maybe he doesn't have audio, so I'm just gonna let you guys round up. Thank you so much, all of you that joined us on Skype. But I just want to hear your last views.
Well, as for me, we have no other place but Nigeria, and we have to make sure it works. You know, if we have to box ourselves, like the Yoruba adage says that if a brother is going to the room and they come out smiling, that means they have not said the truth. Whatever it's going to take, we have to make sure that, you know, we get Nigeria to become that giant of Africa.
I see. And you?
I think I'll echo the same sentiments. I think the fact that we're debating, the fact that we're talking, the fact that the government is scared enough to want to start monitoring our communications implies that they're getting the message. They're getting the message that Nigerians are getting frustrated with what's going on.
They are getting the message because, you know, last week they banned that video. I mean, 2 weeks ago, they banned the video.
The documentary.
That documentary,
That's right.
Fueling Poverty. So, of course, they are getting the message. But I want to thank you guys for joining us today on the Skype call. I'm sorry that we couldn't go further than this. And thank you, everybody that joined us. Alabi, Amzat, Shola, Moses, and Enoa. Thank you for your time. And I want to thank you guys in the studio for all your input. So, hopefully, though, we won't do all this in vain. Hopefully someday we can look back and say, oh, thank God we now have a change in Nigeria. Things are getting better. Thank God for the battles that we fought at that time. All right, but my challenge to you guys is to get your women involved, okay? Get your wives involved, your sisters.
As someone already said, they're on the prayer mountains praying. We can't all be there. So there's
So, but because this thing affects
know,
women as well, and they are very defenseless when it comes to like the killings and stuff like that. So, but that viewers, that has been our Skype call segment today. Stay tuned. We have regulars coming up, Dr. Damages as well as Keeping It Real. We'll be right back.